Okay, welcome everyone to Quiet Mind Day 3 of 90. Okay, you are not your thoughts. Discover the gold within by unplugging your brain's non-stop chatter. Okay, imagine this. A ragged beggar's been squatting on an old wooden box for over 30 years, grumbling for spare change. One day, a stranger passes by. Spare some change, the beggar mutters, holding out a dusty cup. I've got nothing for you, the stranger replies, then asks, what's that you're sitting on? The beggar shrugs, just this box, nothing, I've been on it forever. Ever looked inside? Asks the stranger. No, nothing in there. But the stranger urges him to check, and lo and behold, inside the box, gold. The man has been sitting on treasure his whole life and never knew it. This book is that stranger. It's not giving you something new. It's just nudging you to look a little deeper, not inside a box, but inside yourself. You may think, but I'm not a beggar. Fair enough. But here's the twist. If you haven't found the joy of simply being alive, the deep, immovable peace that comes with it, then yeah, you're kind of begging. Not with a cap, not with a cap, but by hunting for fleeting hits of pleasure, validation, or love from the outside world, all while sitting on the treasure chest of your own being. Now, let's clear the air on this spooky word enlightenment. Sounds like something for monks on mountaintops or ancient gurus, right? Actually, it's just your natural state before the mental circus took over. It's the felt connection of something vast and indestructible that is somehow both within you and beyond you. When we lose this sense of connection, we feel separate from life, from others, from ourselves. And that's when the fear and the loneliness are felt most bitterly. I love this super basic definition. Enlightenment equals the end of suffering. Doesn't sound so mystical now, does it? Sure, that tells you what it's not, pain, but not what it is. And that's intentional because as soon as your mind tries to define it, it ruins the mystery. You're meant to discover it yourself. Now, about this word being, it's not just some airy spiritual fluff. It means the life force that's always present beneath and beyond all the forms that come and go. It's not something to understand with your head. It's something to experience with your mind. Finally, mercifully, so it's something to experience when your mind finally mercifully shuts up. When you're totally in the now, not replaying the past, not obsessing about the future, you can feel it. That's enlightenment in real time. You might be wondering, are you just talking about God? Yeah, kind of, but the word God has been abused so badly that it barely points to anything real anymore. People argue over it, worship it, reject it, and pretend to know what it is, all without ever actually feeling the reality behind the word. That's why I use being. It's open, hard to define, and impossible to reduce to an image. It invites experience, not debate. So, what's blocking us from this incredible, ever present reality? One thing, your mind. More specifically, your blind attachment to your own thinking. The voice in your head never stops, judging, worrying, replaying, planning. You've probably mistaken that voice for you, but here's the catch. If you can't stop thinking, even when you want to, who's really in charge? The 17th century philosopher Descartes famously said, I think, therefore I am. But that might be the biggest intellectual oops in history. You are not your thoughts. In fact, compulsive thinking is the source of most suffering. The mind is an amazing tool when it's used wisely, but when it uses you, that's not thinking anymore, that's possession. True freedom begins when you realize this. You are not the thinker. You are the awareness that can observe the thinker. And the moment you begin to watch your thoughts instead of automatically identifying with them, something shifts. A deeper intelligence wakes up, one that isn't made of words. From that space, real joy, love, creativity, and peace can finally breathe. So the next time your brain revs up like a squirrel on espresso, just remember your mind is a tool, not your identity, not your boss, definitely not your true self. The real you is sitting quietly beneath all the noise, calm, radiant, and believe it or not, already enlightened. Okay, so I don't agree with some of the stuff written in this chapter at all from my perspective as a Torah Jew. So let's go. We'll break it down. I agree. Well, the important stuff I agree with, but there's other bits that anyway. Let's see. So you're not your thoughts. Yeah, you have thoughts. You're the one who thinks. Okay, imagine this ragged beggar. He's sitting on an old thing. He's basically trying to say that this enlightenment is something that. Oh, sorry, just turn my phone off. Excuse me. That this enlightenment is is something that you actually. It's not something that you actually achieve. It's already there, just covered over by lots of noise, which is that's obvious. So enlightenment, I don't know if that, yeah, that's the word that he's using here, but we'll humor him with that word, yeah. But it's not some kind of like wow experience. It's not some kind of like trippy psychedelic, you know, merging with all of oneness and some, like the thing that everyone's always looking for the whole time. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a kind of deep peace, just the fact that it's okay. That's it. No fireworks. Okay, so that's basically the that's basically what this chapter's trying to give over. That this book is trying to help you realize that nearly all of the pain that you're dealing with is just to do with this noise going on in your head. Yeah. And now I would do also want to add that we're not talking about real genuine trauma. Yeah. When people have been through like real trauma, like especially at a very young age, yeah, that does stuff to the brain that needs to be rewired by a professional therapist, one who knows what's actually doing. We're talking about just regular people. I'd imagine like most of us, yeah, where there's just an incessant thinking, judging, comparing, contrasting, preferring, disliking, etc. That's just driving us nuts the whole time. Every time everything happens, there's this like kind of mental vomiting in our head it's driving us all mad, and it drives our partners mad, and it drives, if we've got children, it drives them mad, it drives everyone mad, but more than anyone it drives us mad. The one who's thinking it drives them the most mad. Yeah, but then very soon after that, the more the closer you are with somebody, the more it drives them mad also. Okay, so um yeah, let's clear the air. Let's speak about enlightenment. So that's what we just said. Enlightenment is not this kind of fireworks psychedelic experience. Yeah. We're just talking about feeling like normal, feeling at peace. And now that also doesn't mean that you don't get these emotions sometimes where you're like that and your shoulders are tense and you don't, and you don't feel comfortable with life. You don't feel comfortable with those are emotions that come and go, but you know that you can last it out. You know that it's just passing through, meaning you haven't identified with it. I did the last time I did or whatever, I did some psychedelic drugs a while ago, and I'm in a place now where, Baruch Hashem, I'm emotionally very stable, I hope, Baruch Hashem. And so I was going through these. I actually overdosed on this. An experiment. I was doing something for a reason. Yeah, I'm not doing it for fun. And I took much too much. Yeah, and I was completely incapacitated. Like I was in my office, but my wife knew what I was doing. My children even knew what I was doing. It was a very controlled experiment. Yeah, I was in my office, and and after the drug kind of kicked in, I was I was kind of laughing at myself because I was so incapacitated. I sat down, I had my talis to fill in, and I took out a safe, and it was a whole day. I had to take off my talis and to fill in. I put away the safe. I couldn't do anything. I was absolutely, I was absolutely incapacitated. Yeah. And I kind of got down on myself because I felt it was a waste of time. It was very, very important that I did that. And I learned something very deep. But, but the point was during this extremely, as I know that as a kid, when I was a kid, if I was to have done the same thing, I would have gone through Gehenna. It would have been absolute Gehenna. Whereas as a mature adult who's worked through all of this stuff now, I was able to look down on my mind going berserk and just kind of sit there like, oh, go on. Yeah, like a kid having a tantrum. It was literally like that. It was like one of your kids is having one of those horrific tantrums, yeah? And there's nothing you can do. You just have to let them get it out, yeah? But you're not going mad. You're watching. That's what I went through with that. My mind, it was me looking down at my mind, and my mind was going mad. I couldn't have spoken to anyone. I couldn't have had a conversation with anyone. But I was so able to look down on my own thoughts that I was just like, okay, Dave, we just have to wait this out another few hours and we'll be okay. Yeah. And sure enough, we got through that. That's what we're talking about here. The problem is, by most of us, as the noise revs up, yeah, the more we get what the word is identified with it. The more we become identified with it. So if you're identified with the thinking, especially when it's negative thinking, which it usually is, you're in a it's such a mutzer. I'll tell you, I had on Purim, I went to my son who was working at the time. I went to his boss's house I just went to step in and say hello, yeah. And I knew they were having a whole big party there, and I knew that when I walked into that room, there was going to be like a commotion. There's going to be, oh, Rabbi Diamond and everything, everyone looking at all the kind of, yeah. And as I'm walking up the steps walking up the steps, I started to like feel the whole, like I'm thinking about what's going to happen as I walk in and I'm realizing all these feelings that I'm having, yeah, a lot like anxiety and discomfort and stress, etc. I was just like, all that is coming just from my thinking. If I was just walking up the stairs with a blank mind, I'm walking into the room anyway, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Yeah. So I was able to then just say, don't stop. Just, why think about that? And as you can start thinking something else, whatever, and all the anxiety, and I went into the room, and it happened exactly how I thought it was going to happen, and it stops me, and it's uncomfortable, and you feel whatever it is, yeah. But the fact is that because I was able to just stop that thinking, all of that. Now that's like all very well for that situation when you're walking upstairs going into a room, yeah, where the lag is about 15 seconds. But what about just when the regular thinking? That's the regular thinking. That's the regular thinking. I'm not good enough, or I've never been good enough. I'll never be good enough, or I can't. And then you start identifying with the thinking, and then that creates that very tense physiology, whatever chemicals start to flow. And then that feeds back into the mind and creates more negative thinking. And that feeds back into the body and creates more negative energy. And that feeds back into the mind, more negative thinking. And before you know it, you're just on a downward spiral. It's horrible. It's horrible. So if you can real, and that's what this whole project is about, is just developing the awareness to say, oh, that's my mind thinking in that stupid way again. And if you can develop that awareness, you're 90% of the way there. You've now remembered it, yeah? You've realized it. Now distract yourself. Like I've said over and over, I when I had to really distract myself, I would start analyzing the graphics of the world, start but you could do anything, whatever. If you're an architect, you could start looking at the architecture. If you're whatever it is, just distract yourself. Start looking at the colors. My wife did a course once where they said a good thing. Like start going through your senses. Like say, okay, what can I see? And then look around and see what you can see. What can I hear? Go around and see what you can hear. What can I smell? Go around, yeah, etc., etc. Just distract your mind, and within a few seconds, it takes between 5 and 10 seconds, and you're not thinking about what you were thinking before that was causing all of this negativity, that was this downward spiral, and you've now just schlepped yourself out of that vicious circle and you're back to being a mensch. Okay. Um, so that is your natural state. Now this is what I disagree with here is your natural state, as we understand it as being Torah Jews, is although it's a state of peace, it's not a state of enough, meaning we're looking to serve. That's really what we want. It's not enough to just be. We're not looking for that. Although you should be peaceful. This is the point. You should be at peace being. Meaning, if you're not able, there's the famous story with Zusha in the prison when there was a pot of there was a toilet or whatever you call it in the cell with them, and he couldn't daven, and he was getting all upset because he wasn't able to daven because of the what was there in the cell with them, and he realized that now, well, this is the avoider. The job of right now is to not daven because you're not allowed to daven. That's the halacha, and deal with it with a big smile on your face. He started dancing around the cell, etc. But that's the idea, is when you can't serve, yeah, which is very, very rare. When you can't serve, yeah, there should be this inner sense of it's okay. Okay. So yeah, the let's get clear on this spiritual enlightenment. Sounds like something for monks or mountains, ancient gurus, right? Actually, it's just your natural state before the mental circus took over. That's what you said. It's the felt connection of something vast and indestructible that is somehow both within you and beyond you. And this is the point, is that's not enough for us. That shouldn't be enough for us. We should be longing to serve that, not just to experience that. That isn't Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is not just experiencing God. In fact, Yiddishkeit isn't experiencing God. Yiddishkeit is serving God. You learn that from Avraham. He was sitting there experiencing God, and he went off to invite in two, nomadic Arabs to wash their feet and to feed them. He was like, "Okay, Hashem, hold out a minute. I'll be back. Let me just deal with this." Yeah, because as Jews, that's what's really important: is service, not experience. Experience comes and goes, but service is, sometimes you need experience to be able to serve if that's who you are. Okay, but the goal is always, the ultimate is always service, without any question. When you lose a sense of connection, we feel separate. This is very, very important. We feel separate from life, from others, from ourselves. And that's when the fear and the loneliness are felt most bitterly. Okay, he calls it loneliness. My Rebbe calls it aloneness. We've said this before, no, where if an elderly couple who really did marriage properly after 60 years, and let's say the husband passes on, the woman will feel lonely but not alone, not alone. Whereas whereas the socialite, wherever they are, could be 24/7 with hundreds of people the whole time, telling them how much they love them, how fantastic they are, and feel abject aloneness the entire time. They're not lonely, there's people around, but they're alone. They feel by themselves. And that comes from a fragmented inner world. Okay. And that's why marriage, the goal of marriage, I suppose, the goal of marriage is see, you're merging with another, and your wholeness it's the same thing. There's you if a person is fragmented internally, then they are experiencing a fragmented world. If a person is unified internally, then they are experiencing a unified world. So are you trying to fix yourself, or you're trying to fix your relationships? It's all the same thing. You by fixing relationships, you're fixing yourself. By fixing yourself, you're fixing your relationships. It's the same thing. A person who is broken is going to have broken relationships. A person who's whole is going to have whole relationships. And on a more mystical level as well, which is really wacky, a person who's broken is going to have to deal with lots of broken stuff. A person who's whole is going to be dealing with much more whole things. Again, can there be exceptions? Well, for sure, but that's just generally how it goes, because the way we're thinking and our inner state is what is the world that we're experiencing. Think of it like this, yeah. Right now, you're looking at the screen. Okay, everyone's looking at the screen or whatever you're looking at, yeah? Now you're seeing an image. Where's that image that you're seeing? You're seeing the image in your head. Yeah, that's where the image, the light comes in through your eyes, and just like a sensor, yeah, it hits the brain, however it does it, with all the optical nerves and this and that. And so you're actually seeing the image that you're seeing is inside your mind. Okay, that's great. Yeah. What about what you're hearing? Also, that's also inside my mind. Everything's going through my brain. Yeah. But also what you're smelling, what you're tasting, and what you're touching. So now think of this for a trip, yeah? Where's your body? How do you know you have a body? There's five reasons why you know you have a body. You see it, you hear it, you taste it, you smell it, you touch it. So where's your body? So we say that the soul is inside your body, yeah? But to be really much more accurate, your body is inside your soul. Does everyone understand that? Yes, no? Again, okay, someone Ahmed doesn't seem that he understands. I'll say it again, yeah? There's an important point to understand. Very, very important point to understand. Is that your body is a figment of your consciousness. When I say a figment, it's not like it's fake. It's not like it's an illusion. Your body exists in your consciousness. If you're not conscious, you don't have a body. Your body is not, you don't recognize your body. You recognize your body inside your mind, inside your consciousness. How do you recognize your body? Through the five senses. That's how you know you have a body. I can see it, I can feel it, I can smell it, I can touch it, I can taste it, etc., etc. Yeah. All of that stuff is going on inside your mind. So in truth, where's my body? My body exists inside of my mind. But not just my body, my entire experience exists inside of my mind. Right? Everyone's ready for a little, go even a little deeper. Yeah, so think of it like this. You fall asleep. Okay? Let's say you're small in Jerusalem, yeah, and you fall asleep, and you have a dream that you are Chaim in Paris. You're dreaming that you're Chaim in Paris. Yeah, that's not a wacky thing. That happens. Yeah, you could dream that you're someone else in a different body and you're in a different place. Where is all of that actually taking place? Me being Chaim in Paris is happening in Shmuel in Jerusalem. So now in Shmuel in Jerusalem, there's two things being created. Is there's the avatar called Chaim, yeah, but then there's Paris itself is being created. That's why your internal world, that's why a fragmented person inside is living in a fragmented world externally. Does everybody know someone who is like a real Nebuch kind of person who thinks in a way that's just like whenever you talk to them, you're just exhausted because they're just going in every different direction and you can't, and yeah, what do those people's lives usually look like? They're frantic. They're always dealing with stuff that are like things are going wrong, crazy stuff's happening, weird things go on. Everyone, you know what I'm talking about? The people who are the hardest to talk to because their minds are so like that are always the ones who are leading the lives where like everything goes wrong and everything's complicated and difficult, etc., etc. It's not a coincidence. It's a fragmented inner world. I'm not judging anyone, like I'm just explaining how this is going. A fragmented inner world and a fragmented external world is the same thing. There's no it's the same thing. And this is the concept of aloneness. So you asked, how do you cure that fragmentation? So the journey to a blessed life is a good start. This book, Quiet Mind, is also a good start. This is my whole reason why I'm in the world is to try and help people with this. It literally is. But we're doing good, I think. But people are moving, Baruch Hashem. But this is the point. He says loneliness, whatever, and the fear and the loneliness is felt most bitterly. So I call that aloneness, and that's really the ultimate machla that we have to deal with. The ultimate, I say machla, like the ultimate, like suffering. The ultimate suffering is aloneness. Yeah. And I'll tell you, but this is a real thing that I've dealt with different, it happens a lot to women, is that they feel alone in their marriage because their husband is fragmented or however it is, yeah. And a lot of women can end up feeling very alone in their marriage. And it can be so men can also feel alone in their marriage, but everyone, to varying degrees, feels alone. I'm just saying more prevalent I've seen by women is that it's so uncomfortable because it doesn't make any sense because you're with someone, but you feel alone. So it just becomes so it becomes confusing on top of the whole thing as well. But what I do believe, I really do believe this, is that as you become more whole, you raise up you other people get raised up with you. It really does lift up the entire it lifts up the entire frequency of the home of the wherever you are. Yeah, and you can't raise anybody else up anyway. So you might as well just concentrate on yourself in that sense. But that does help everybody else. So that's what he's calling enlightenment. I don't use that word so much, but enlightenment is the end of suffering, which just basically means that you've let go of that fragmented thinking and you've returned back to your basic inner wholeness. Okay, and then he uses the word being. It's not just some airy spiritual fluff. It means the life force that's always present beneath and beyond all the forms that come and go. It's not something to understand with your head. It's something to experience when your mind finally mercifully shuts up. Again, I think the experience is not referring to some kind of like warm, kind of nice feeling like when someone compliments you or where where you've exercised and you've eaten good and you've slept good and you just feel great. Yeah, it's not that. It's talking about a more aligned sense of just stillness, of peace. Man, I don't even know if it's physiological, Bichlal. When you're totally in the now, yeah, and this is the point, not replaying the past, not obsessing about the future, you can feel it. Remember that story I just spoke about, that 15-second story about walking up the steps to that party on Purim? Yeah, it's always about the future, or it's always about the past. This is a very deep point that depression and anxiety are the same thing. Depression is selfish, fragmented thought into the past. Anxiety is selfish, fragmented thought into the future. That's called Atzvus and Daigus in Lashon HaKodesh. Yeah. Depression and anxiety, which everybody is played with. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, especially anxiety for us. That is thinking about yourself projected into the future. That doesn't mean that you become irresponsible and you stop doing that. You take responsibility for what's going, but you're thinking like I've got this project, I've got to deal with so and so tomorrow, yeah? Well, I need to prepare for that. Now I'm going to prepare for that. I'm going to deal with what I need to deal with and I'm going to strategize, I'm going to work that out. Anxiety is oh my days, how am I going to do that? And it's not going to work. You're thinking into the future. You're not planning for the future. You're just, what's the word? Obsessing over the future in a negative way. And the same with depression is always about the past. You get anxious about the future and you get depressed about the past. Ruminating. Yeah, it's a good word. Like a cow. Um, the more present you are right now, I mean, that's what this whole book is talking about, basically. The more present you are right now, the more you like again, you're walking up the stairs to that party, and I'm thinking about the party, and I'm in a terrible physiological state that causes all the bad stuff. If I'm just right now walking up the stairs, thinking doesn't exist in the right now. This kind of thinking. Okay, and then you might be wondering, are you just talking about God? Yeah, kind of. The word God has been abused so badly that it barely points to anything real anymore. Yeah, this is a very important. See, I've heard a lot of people say the ego as an acronym for edging God out. Yeah, you've heard that before? People heard that? Yeah. I think that is a terrible, inaccurate, unhelpful Rosh Hashanah for the word ego as an acronym. Because the ego doesn't edge God out at all. In fact, the ego is very, very happy drafting God in its service, as we see by 4 billion people in the world. Yeah, they have happily hijacked God. Their ego has hijacked God, and now they've become so much more. This is the amazing thing with God. Yeah, as a religious person, you can feel superior to Elon Musk. You can feel superior to Brad Pitt. You can feel superior to every icon in the world that every secular person feels inferior to. Yeah. You can feel superior to every single one of them and easily, easily. It's not even a problem. What that's not you don't have to be worried about the ego. Being religious is means that you've ascended your ego. That's the most ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Being religious has nothing to do with ascending ego. In fact, in most cases, being religious has everything to do with drafting the most powerful idea you can have that gives you makes you more than every single thing else, which is God. I have truth. Donald Trump, he has $4 billion. He has access to the most powerful military in the world. Yeah, he's in charge of the economy and this and that and whatever. Yeah, he doesn't even. I make a brocha in the morning to say thank you that I'm not him. That's what we say. You realize that with that it's I'm sorry to be so controversial, but it's just not controversial. It's just so obvious. You had 5,000 Rishoyim come into Eretz Israel on October 7th a few years ago. Yeah. All screaming, God is great, God is great, God is great, as they were massacring Jews in cold blood. What's the benefit of believing in God? The belief in God is not what we're talking about here as Jews. Yiddishkeit is the only thing in the world that isn't religion. It's literally the only thing that I know of that isn't religion. Yeah, obviously Islam is religion. Yeah, Shlomo Menachem, you want to say something? I think you can unmute yourself.
I don't understand, but that is true. You're saying that it's not true to think that we are greater than Donald Trump. That's a true fact. That's a positive thing.
Yeah, but okay, forget you. What about Ahmed?
What about him?
Thinking the same thing. He believes in God. One of the guys who came in on October 7th, yeah? He's better than Donald Trump.
I, I can't go into his thoughts, nor do I care about his thoughts. I have the truth.
Okay, see that's already an issue. To speak like that, I understand what you're saying, okay? And but Yiddishkeit and is there proof for Yiddishkeit? Yeah, there was Muhammad Sinai, 600,000 Yidden, and then there's the unbroken chain of Messiah, and then there's the fact that Israel still exists and we're hated and we're dispersed and so on. And yeah, and none of the other religions have got anything like that. Yeah. Yiddishkeit is still not a religion. Yiddishkeit is a relationship with reality for a certain family of people. There's a certain soul family that has a bris, a relationship, let's call it, with reality itself. Now, if you want to take that and use that, now that is a fantastic tool for your ego. How much better does it get?
Well,
You
certain
now
things that,
don't have to feel inferior to anyone in the whole world.
but that's true. That isn't that healthy?
No.
That we should not feel inferior to any goy.
Not to feel superior, not to feel inferior. You have a role in this world. Like you just said, I don't care about him. Yeah, you have a responsibility to the world. There's no if you feel better than so and so, yeah, that's just coming from a fragmented way of looking at the world. That concept of comparison is already corrupt. We're not we're
Then
not we are what's the word? We are appreciating the responsibility that we have in the world. But the minute we start thinking that we're better than anyone, that's it's ridiculous. You anybody who feels that they're better than other people, yeah, they're already in the world of Kleeper, they're in the world of ego, and all their relationships are gonna be more complex.
what does that mean?
That's what I'm saying. It's true. You're right. We have a very unique, special calling in the world. We do. But why would you feel better than anybody? What benefit is that? Where does that come from? When I see my child, yeah, am I better than my child?
No.
Why not? I'm doing
Why
more
are you
good in
better
the
than
world.
yourself?
I'm
Why?
doing more good in the world. I'm helping people. I'm not just sitting there being annoying and doing all kinds of funny stuff. Yeah. I'm out there helping people. I'm trying to be a mensch. My kids are sitting there rubbing food on their face. Who's better?
Because God has chosen you and him equally, but God has chosen me over a goy.
Again, we have to work out what that means. Those are very dangerous. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to be very stark here. You're right, but I don't believe that you really understand what that means. What that means to be chosen by God is a profound concept that takes a lot of learning that maybe we'll discuss one time. We should discuss sometime. But just to say I'm chosen, yeah, you were chosen not because of anything about you. You were chosen because of God Himself. You should actually feel, in a sense, yeah, less than everybody else because you're unworthy. It wasn't He didn't choose you because of your qualities. He chose you because of him. That should make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You with
Towards
me?
him,
What?
towards him. That should make me feel uncomfortable and inferior
Uncomfortable? It's like
and
a
humble
rich
to him.
kid. Well, it's like Elon Musk's son. He has any right feeling more than anybody else in the world.
No,
He's much richer than everybody else. Why shouldn't he? Maybe
because
he's
that's not a
better
real
looking as
value.
well.
That's
It's
not a
not
real
real.
value of being rich. Having money is not. Is the so what? Why does that make
Well,
you better?
I mean, in the world, it seems to be people care a lot about money. You get sat even in the film world, yeah. When you got a lot of money, you get put on the top table. Yeah,
I
the
know we know.
rabbis treat you with a lot of respect, so there has to be
Yeah, okay,
something real
because
about that.
we
You
both know
can
that,
help.
that's fake. That's not real.
Again, what I'm trying to give over to you, yeah, is that mindset that says I'm better than you is trafe.
Okay, then I need a lesson. Not the Bachatonu. I'm eagerly waiting it.
We got chosen by the Rabbeinu Shalom for a calling. Now I have a response, just like I'm my child's father. I have a responsibility now to help my child become all that he can be. We have a responsibility to bring the world to the place that it needs to be at. Are you better than, I mean, even to say better or worse, like you're of a different order, you're of a different phylum, you're of a different species in a sense, yeah? But the concept of better or worse is that's ego. That's exclusively ego thinking. You're not better. You have a responsibility. You've been chosen, and we have a responsibility now to raise up the whole world. And I'll go even further. You've read the Nefesh HaChaim, yeah? You've read the Nefesh HaChaim? The first the
Yeah.
first page of Nefesh HaChaim. He says when Titus of Russia, yeah, took a Zoina. I'm going to say this out. Please excuse me what I'm going to say right now, but I'm going to say it out loud, yeah? When Titus of Russia took a Zoina, yeah, into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he laid out a Sefer Torah on the floor and he had znus with her in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, Rachmana litzlan, yeah? The Nefesh HaChaim says that does less damage than when a Jew just entertains a negative thought in his mind. or her mind. And we're
True.
better. We're better than. Can you imagine what kind of damage we can be causing? I'm trying
Exactly,
to put it in
exactly.
perspective.
Because we're better.
But
Because we're
it's not
better.
it's not better. Again, that's just egoic. That's egoic thinking. The Nefesh Bahamis looks at the world as a fragmented. There's us and them. Yeah. The Yiddish way of seeing the world is there's an inclusive wholeness of the whole world. There's a oneness of the whole world. There's a goof and there's a neshama. It's like are you better than your body? You feel superior to your body?
I am my body. I am a goof and neshama connected. That's what makes me.
Okay, now what about your family? It extends out a little bit further. There's a whole ecosystem which you're part of. That oneness thinking is holy. Unity is holy. You want to translate the word kadosh? You could translate that word also as yichud. Yeah, you could also translate the word kadosh, which means holy, as yichud, which means oneness. Yeah, and unholy klipa could be called purud, which means separation. So it's just not a holy way of thinking in any way, shape, or form to think I'm better than him or her. Are you? Who cares? You have a responsibility. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. That thinking is Klippadika thinking. That thinking is egoic thinking. And that thinking is pushing you deeper into fragmentation, aloneness, and it's bringing destruction to the world. Is that making sense? Sorry to be so
Yeah.
stark, but so this is
Uh,
the point of religion. This is what Yiddishkeit is. Yiddishkeit is not religion. It's been hijacked by religion. This is the final phase of Gullus is to get through religion and to serve God. Religion is about me. It's even about me serving God. By us, it's not about me serving God. It's about God being served. That's why it's irrelevant. I'm not better than anyone else because I want you to serve Hashem also. I want the whole world to be singing praise to the Ribono Shel Olam. That's all I want. That's everything. That's what a Yid should be thinking. That's what the Yid is in the world. The Yid is the ambassador. To say it in a really powerful way, the Notzrim, yeah, who said that God became a man, yeah, one man, yeah, they were off in the fact that they chose one Yid. Am Yisrael is God incarnate in this world. That's called the Shechina. The Shechina is the element of Hashem, so to speak, that is compatible with this world and goes into this world. The Shechina is the source of the souls of Am Yisrael. So in that sense, we are as a nation, not any single one of us, but as a nation, we are God incarnate in this world. And that's why Amalek, who hates God, wages war against Israel. It's synonymous. It's synonymous. Hating Israel and hating God is synonymous. It's the same thing. So Yiddishkeit isn't about any kind of egoic. It's not about identifying with ideas. It's about serving God. And really, the way I understand it is Yisrael is the only being that can actually do that without it being without it being some kind of ideology. Otherwise, it becomes an ideology, and that's not anything to do. That's not because you're amazing. That's just because of what a Yisrael is. Yisrael is a being that has an element of the Creator attached to it, and it's that element of the Creator attached to it that allows Yisrael to actually be godly, as opposed to being a human being serving God.
that's my understanding of Ato Bechaltonu. Not me personally. Me, Sholem Anachem. Not me. Us, Yidden.
Yeah,
But you're saying that's not
you have to
true.
be.
We Yidden are not better because we are godly.
What's the word better? We're not better. Like,
Forget the word. Forget,
let me ask you a question. Is a chimpanzee better than a tree? Is a tree better than a rock? It's not irrelevant. It's not a relevant term. We're talking about a different phyla of creation. It's a different kingdom. But don't think that your human kite is particularly better than that of the Umosa Oilam. Don't think that. That's a big mistake. Yeah, your human kite. The difference between the human kite of the Ummah Olam and the human kite of a Jew is the difference between a treif piece of meat and a kosher piece of meat. You can't see the difference. You can't taste the difference. You can't smell the difference. For all intents and purposes, there is no difference. Halachically, there's an ultimate difference, but it doesn't look different in any way, shape, or form. There's no difference practically. That's the difference between our humanity and the humanity of the Ummah Olam. Yeah, so for a Jew to take kind of some kind of arrogant pride in our human kite, that's a mamash mistake. And then to compare the part of us that makes us Jewish, which is the Jewish soul, to a human being is just an inaccurate comparison. That's coming from a lack of understanding of what that is. You can't say it's better. It's an infinite. The difference between the Shechina, yeah, the Nefesh Elokis, the Neshama, and the human soul is infinitely more than the highest human soul and the soul of a stone. A stone also has a stone also has a soul. So they're all of creation. The highest human soul and the soul of a stone are all of creation. The Jewish soul is not of creation; it's of creator. So yeah, Emmanuel, you have your hand up for a while. You want to ask something?
Yeah, I just wanted to, when we say Havdalah, the difference between the Goyim and the Jews is the difference between Kodesh and Chol.
Yeah,
So there's a reality, but it doesn't mean we're better. But it's
of
a different,
course.
you know,
The difference is more than any of us understand. The
yeah.
difference is the difference. The difference is an infinite difference. We're talking about the difference between creator and creation. But you have to also realize that we're of creation also. A Jew is not a neshama. A Jew, like you said, Shalom Aleichem, a Jew is a mizug. How do you say that? A combination of human and godly. That is what a Jew is. Neshamas are not called Jewish. Neshamas are neshamas. Humans are humans. A human who has stuck with it or connected to it, a neshama is called Yisrael. So a human being is a human being. A Jew is a human being with this soul which is called Yisrael, which again is that's him himself. That's what the Jew is. The Jew is the Jew's like an ambassador, so to speak. Like you have the embassy, the American embassy in Israel. It's like American soil in Israel. The Jew is a godly being in this world. Now we have to just make sure our humanity is in line with it. But that's the work of the Jew is to make sure that humanity, your human side is in alignment with your godly aspect. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Okay, so we'll finish here. I need to go. Um, let's just say this one last thing. The real you is sitting quietly beneath all the noise, calm, radiant, and believe it or not, already enlightened. That's not talking about the Jewish soul. Yeah, that's talking about the human soul. Enlightenment is for human beings. Yeah, being Israel, our work begins at enlightenment. That's where we begin. That's what we are. We are meant to be, our humanity is meant to be enlightened. And then the avoider, the work of the project is being a lot then that means that we have avoider lishma. That means we're serving God not for selfish human purpose. We're serving God for his purpose. And that's what we said in Beshalom Avrocha. That's the final stage of becoming a put together human being, is that you now have lost, so to speak, interest in yourself. Meaning you're not here for you anymore. You're here to serve. That's what we're trying to get to. That's only available once the mental noise subsides. Okay, to be continued. B'ezrat Hashem.
Yeah.
Chazak v'ematz, everyone. Kultiv.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Cheers, bye.
you.